So Jordan was telling me pre-podcast that sometimes she'll try to watch the movie of the week that we're going to discuss on a Monday night for the next episode from a treadmill at like her work gym. Now, she brought up something about the Lady Terminator movie that we covered recently, a specific scene in Lady Terminator, but I thought like, oh, there's a lot of scenes that maybe you don't want your boss, your coworker, a random person working out at the gym to see on your little treadmill camera. And then, Jordan, what did you say? Like you said, like you'll get sucked in and then not notice. You'll just be watching the movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, like just in the zone, but like I don't realize who's behind me. And so I was watching the trailer, which is only 4 minutes of the movie and a bunch of other scenes, but like totally saw the serpent like go right up her coochie. And I was like, and I'm just like checking behind my back to make sure my like CEO, because my CEOs do work out in the gym like during the same hours. And I would just, sometimes I get zoned in and I'm really got to pay attention to my surroundings when I'm watching some stuff. But
that's definitely an NTSF kind of movie. Or, no, wait. Whatever. I've already forgotten how to say it.
So
I can only think of like 2 more work situations that might be more horrific than that. There's a show called like Loving or something like that. And the guy, he wants to masturbate and he's on his phone, but his phone is connected to like a wireless speaker. So the rest of the house on this vacation trip and their Verbo or whatever hears the video that he's watching.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And so they know when he climaxes because the song cuts off. And then he has to go back to dinner like nothing happened, you know? And it's fun. The way they handled it was really funny. I might be like making it grotesque, but it was really funny.
No, he was watching porn actually. If it's the same thing I'm thinking of, it was the one with the guy with the big and the girl from Community. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That show?
Yeah.
That was no. He was. It was even worse, I think, because he was watching porn and it like broadcasts to the Bluetooth speaker outside.
Yeah.
He didn't disconnect it.
Yeah, they hear it. That's what I was saying. They hear it.
Oh, I thought you said. Well, never mind. Yeah.
And then the other scenario that I thought of was like, did you guys hear about the story where the guy was like on a work Zoom or something, and then they caught him doing something to himself or something like that?
Oh God,
that was like a whole thing.
I feel like that probably happened quite a few times.
Right, just like no one wearing pants. Yeah, I'm glad I don't work from home. Just saying. So.
Well, then there's also like the like naked roommates. You know, like you're on your work Zoom with your coworkers, and then like they're like just walk by. Yeah, on the way to get cereal. Is it your roommate? Who knows?
There's a reason why they put like a blur filter on like Zoom now.
Oh, like the virtual room or something, or like the plants, or like you're in a jungle or whatever.
It actually blurs, but the bad thing is sometimes it will focus on something behind you.
Yeah, I've seen that. In fact, I was experiencing that today, and I moved my entire location to where it was.
Yeah.
What was it zooming in on, Dave?
The collection behind here, but like I don't know. I don't. For this show, I don't like put anything any place that it can't be seen. I might have some titles that don't want to be seen in a professional setting.
There you go.
So one of these days I'll figure out how to make like a video intro, because I want just like a clip of us talking while it plays the intro song. But, I'm not an editor. I'm just a talker.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
I mean, it's almost good, except for where the logo is placed on our faces if you're watching it. It's basically covering David.
Oh, cut that off.
Yeah, I can't move it because it's like... Dave doesn't mind having a TV on his head.
There you go.
It's only crushing my spine and my soul.
Oh, no. Don't describe the podcast as already soul-crushing. We haven't even talked about tonight's movie yet. All right. Home video headlines, folks. Let's see. Harry Styles movie critic is the first topic of discussion. He said his favorite thing about working in the Don't Worry, Darling movie was, it feels like a movie, like a real movie. Now, the only thing funnier than him saying that, trying to describe the plot of a movie that he's in as an actor, did you guys see the Chris Pine reaction shot? Like he's sitting next to him at a press conference for this movie. And it starts to you see this reaction on Chris Pine's face, like he just realized, oh, I'm in a movie with Harry Styles. Harry Styles doesn't know how to review movies or handle press tours because he has no experience. Also, holy shit, I'm in this movie. Holy shit, I'm on this press tour. How did I get here? But apparently also, I didn't know Chris Pine was an English major. Trivia, David. Trivia.
No, but that was some hair. Wasn't it like platinum, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
mean
I'm
Chris
loving
Pine's
it.
hair
Yes.
on the tour? Yeah.
I don't know. I've been following this silly story pretty closely, like just for fun.
Yeah.
and like there's that whole, did he spit on Chris Pine? I don't think he did.
Oh yeah. I did see stuff
At the
about that on
premiere,
Twitter.
like they're sitting next to each other.
Like I think there's a lot of attention going on because like there's a lot of personal relationships going on the set that I don't think are going on anymore. So I think there's just a lot of weird stuff going on with this whole production and before the movies even come out. And I don't know, the other thing somebody pointed out, like he's been on a long tour, so he's probably like just drained and couldn't think of like anything more intelligent to say than, yeah, it's like a real movie, you know, like with real characters or whatever he said.
Well, he finally makes a point at the end. He was trying to say is that it's a movie that you should go to the theater for. Like it's good enough that you should have the movie experience. But but at first he was like staggering through what he was saying.
I can't fault him for that. I do that on this show all the time. You know, like, oh wait, I have a thought. I know, but I can't say it right. Like, try it yourself sometimes, judgy people. I don't know what to say.
Which brings us to the next point, talking about not being able to deliver speeches. They keep giving Tom Hanks these big speeches in the movies lately, but you know, I just think Tom Hanks should stop playing Tom Hanks. I decided to write down when was the last time I liked Tom Hanks. It was 2017. Yeah. Good question. If I could read my notes, like I got these scribbles.
I did like that bit from last episode. Just saying.
We were talking about him in the Elvis movie. Yeah, it was horrible. And like basically that's what it is. It's like you get Adam Sandler to be Adam Sandler. You get Tom Hanks to be Tom Hanks, but he's kind of Tom Hanks out. Like I wrote down, they need to make a David S. Pumpkins movie because in 2017 he was doing the David S. Pumpkins skit on SNL, and that was still entertaining. The movie that broke it for me was News of the World, where he plays this character called Captain Kidd, who's in like the 1880s, and his job is to go to these old West towns and deliver the news of the day. And like I had really high hopes for that movie, but it kind of let me down. And then from that point on, every single movie afterwards has been a seriously decline. But then I thought, he's got almost 40 years in. He started in the 80s. He's got some iconic movies under his belt. You only really have to be good one time. You know what I mean? Like, how many great movies do you need to have in a career? A couple, a handful. But then when you switch to like TV movie of the weeks, or like the movies get worse, then your legacy is like what? You know, guest starring in TV shows.
I'm curious. I mean, maybe this is not the show for it, but I'd be curious to like what you didn't like about News of the World. I mean, it wasn't a phenomenal movie, but I thought he did pretty fine in that. I can't think of anything other than the Elvis movie and this latest thing he's done. He's had 2 in a row that were pretty awful, but before that, he's been on pretty. I mean,
I can quickly tell you what my biggest contention with playing Captain Kidd is. You're supposed to believe that he has a violent past and can turn into like Clint Eastwood on the drop of a hat, you know, and he can't. So,
all right. You know, it's been like 2 or 3 years since I've seen it, so what can I say? But I remember enjoying it, but you didn't.
I still liked it, but I'm saying that was the point for me as a viewer, where if you put it on a dot matrix, whatever blip map, or you know. I don't know. I'm floundering.
Like Charlie with all the like arrows pointing out, like it started here.
Yeah, it started here. And then if you follow the glowing thing or whatever, where's the laser pointer for the thing? See, if we had like a technician who's running this, I could put like charts on the screen. Whatever. Wishful thinking. We'll get the technology eventually. David, you'll like this one. Screaming goats are cinematic. You must know what movie I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
we watched it recently.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, one of the best parts of the movie is the goats. What do? They just scream.
They scream a lot.
They crash into a planet and they scream. It's a planet that they can walk on in one day, which is kind of funny. They just like walk across. But these are magical goats. They're in the Marvel comic. Thor had them before, but this version in the movie is that they scream. And that's kind of the highlight of the movie, honestly. It's not as good as Ragnarok. It's the fourth Thor movie.
Totally disagree.
The director might be out.
I hated Ragnarok.
You know what?
And I loved
all right,
this
but you
one.
know what it was for the director? Like, did you see like his personal Instagram blowing up? Like when he's hanging out with Rita Ora and the other actress. This was like sometimes it's like Michael Caine said, "I did Jaws 4 because I wanted to hang out in the Caribbean." Sometimes the movies are just a vacation, Dave, with a paycheck.
I don't know, man. I actually no. I think that movie was pretty awesome, actually. Like, and I did not like Ragnarok. So I figured I just learned this week that I think I'm the contrarian Marvel fan. Like the ones that everybody loves, I can't stand, and the ones that people think are crap are the ones I actually enjoy. Like I actually
Do you have a
like
second
Eternals.
example?
Yeah, Eternals. Eternals. People
another
hated
Harry
it.
Styles movie.
Was he? I see. I don't remember him in it, but I'll take your word.
Well,
he's saying his brother. His name is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jordan.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know. I'm gonna put this to the test because I feel like John. I typically side with you on things, but Ragnarok was my favorite, so I don't know. I don't know where I'll fall.
You know, I don't know. For whatever magic it had for people, it didn't work on me. And then this one was the one where it's like, oh, that's what I expected from Ragnarok, and yet I'm finding out, like John, it's one of people's least favorite, other than I guess The Dark World, which I still haven't seen. But
points for having the longest running series, though. He's now has 4 sequels or 3 sequels. Like the fact that he'll have a 5th movie in like a year or so is the longest running Marvel series now, or whatever. Of the heroes, individual heroes, anyway. Taggart and Rosewood are back on duty in Beverly Hills Cop 4. I don't know if you saw pictures from the set. It's not just Axel Foley with Eddie Murphy. The other partners from Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 are coming back, which is pretty cool because we haven't seen those guys in a while. It's Judge Reinhold and what's his name? John Ashton? Yeah, I think his name is John Ashton. Not Austin, the other acting family, like Ashton, spelled differently. He's a good actor, 80s, 90s. I'm gonna guess that Jordan hasn't seen the Beverly Hills Cop movies, but we'll find out later because I wrote down during James screening, is Jordan gonna have to watch Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 should be added. We'll bring it up later. A little preview for a segment later in the show. Now, she kind of are the next thing I was gonna bring up in the headlines was the Lady Terminator reactions from Jordan, but she kind of gave us some in the beginning. You want to add anything else, or we'll keep trucking?
I mean, just Dave saying that he was thirsting for some dangerous details made me automatically want to watch it. But yeah, no, it just sounds really ridiculous and totally up my alley. I don't know. You guys also said the words ultimate blowjob in reference to one of the scenes. And I'm like, just really curious as to what that means.
It is definitely like if you're the type of person that hosts bad movie nights, this one would be a perfect fit. And yet I can't even call it a bad movie. It's just insane is what it is. It's insane.
You called it
follows
zany.
its own logic, and its logic is solid within the movie, but it is nuts. It's just a nutty movie.
Well, that sounds right up my alley. I mean, if the logic is there, I can't wait to watch it. I just hearing your
we
reactions.
actually felt like guilty in real life that you weren't there to view it with us. Like honestly, like
and that's what I was telling John too. Is that like when does it ever happen that like neither of you have seen the movie? You know what I'm saying? Like almost every movie we review, you guys have either seen it once and it was a long time ago, or one of you has seen it, or both of you have seen it, and I'm like, this would have been a good one, but I'm gonna watch it for sure.
Well, we hit 2 weeks in a row because this week, well, get to that. I've never heard of this movie before this week either.
Oh, you broke up in the beginning, but you were basically saying that you hadn't seen this week's movie either. These are all fresh eyes for you.
I think we've hit quite a few in a row for me where they're movies I haven't seen. So
it gets more difficult to make the lineup every year, if I'm being honest, because it's like it's got to be weird enough to watch, but it can't be so weird that it's like we have nothing to say about it. It's really difficult. But then, like Jordan said, we'll find a row of movies that like one of us has seen, and then there's nothing to say about it because we've already watched it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations like, dude, if you want weird, I can find you weird, just weird easily, but like weird and palatable are two different things.
Right.
Or podcast worthy, like a couple things to talk about. Anyway, tonight's movie is Songs from the Second Floor. I believe it's a Swedish movie. The only way to describe it basically is it breaks down to a series of vignettes that talk about or criticize modern living. It definitely seems like a satire to me. I mean, you guys can question that or not. Satire is a big word for the audience. Look it up. I don't know. Earlier, I forgot to mention vapid. The movie's not vapid. Harry Styles' movie critic was vapid, which means nothing stimulating or challenging. Yeah, we're going to dictionary.com on this one, folks. So yeah, the satirical entry, Songs from the Second Floor. Let's see if it's too weird to rate. Let's see if it's too weird to enjoy. Let's see if we can dissect this movie. But first, let's see if Dave was able to discover any dangerous details about tonight's movie, other than the fact that you can't watch it anywhere. Someone bootlegged it on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been on YouTube for about a year or so we can't say nobody can see it, but I will say not a lot of people watched it based on the view count. So this is
on the view count.
Bum, bum, bum.
So here's the first hint that Dave hates the movie or doesn't or dislikes the movie. Like, he only gets factitious in a certain tone. Like, if he doesn't like a movie and it didn't make any box office, he's like, and by the way, it only made $9 million at the box office.
Well,
and they spent $15 million to make it. So what does that tell you? Fact number one.
First of all, this is a Swedish movie here in America. I wouldn't even bother with that because, like, how much is it going to make to begin with? You know what I mean? Wouldn't beat up on it like that. So this is actually...
He's about to pull his punches.
No. So this is the first of a trilogy from director Roy Andersson. The other two are called You, the Living. And I will give it this. This has to be one of the most interesting titles I've heard in a while. The third being A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting on Existence. So that's a movie that's out there to watch. Each scene in this movie...
I did not hear one word you just said, except for bird.
Oh, let me repeat that.
No, I mean, I heard the words, but I couldn't process them. Right? The only word that stood out was the word bird.
I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So each scene was shot with one take where the camera was still and the actors just had to work within the frame they had. I was surprised to find out this movie took 4 years to complete, but I guess this was a real labor of love. This was given the jury prize at the Cannes Film Festival, and this movie is mostly still shots, but it does move once in a scene in a train station. That is, I'll find out for you.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll go. Before we get going any further, I want to talk about Stars. An insane offer. I feel like, we keep talking about like how HBO Max is on fire and Discovery's dropping a lot of HBO titles, and they've put all their money and they're betting on, House of the Dragon and Discovery shows to make the new Discovery or whatever. But Stars is doing this crazy thing where they're giving their whole thing away for $10 for half the year. I don't know how they're going to make money, but if you like Stars, you like free movies and TV shows, they got a new one coming out. So we have an affiliate code. You can grab the promo code in the show notes. You can get Stars Network for $10 for half the year. There's a new show coming out with Samantha Morton called The Serpent Queen. Have you guys heard about this show?
I have heard about this. Tell me more.
Well, wow. That sounds like an ad, David. I actually do give a shit about The Serpent Queen because I watched the trailer. Well, I like Samantha Morton, first of all.
She's a great actress.
So
yes.
Maybe they'll have scenes where things go in places. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I like her. And I'm also attracted to her for whatever reason. She's like, Tinder swipe. Which is the good way to go? Which way? Left? Does anybody know?
You swipe
left?
right to match.
Swipe right.
Oh, swipe right to match?
Them.
Okay, yeah. I swipe right on a Samantha Morton type. Okay. But she's playing Catherine Medici, which I guess is like one of the French rulers. It gets married in the family. But the trailer suggests that it's like she's going to be telling her own story, like maybe breaking the fourth wall. At least the trailer does. But I hope the trailer is capturing like the tone of the show because it has a lot of energy. And I'm like, oh, this would be really cool. Because I love that. If they do the medieval thing, like, what's that? A Knight's Tale, right? When they had the rock songs. If you do give us medieval stuff, but with like modern editing, modern tones and vibes, it's really fun. So hopefully they'll do that. Anyway, if you want Stars, try it out. You can get it for $10 for 6 months. There's a link in our show notes. And we can all watch The Serpent Queen, and we can say binge now, binge later, binge never, whatever. I also made a note in the show in our general description about advertisers, but I signed something today that says I shouldn't talk about advertisers. But I wrote down who the fuck knows pay us money. I thought that was a pretty good note for tonight's show because I didn't know what I was going to talk about at the Primo Real Estate, which is the middle of the show, folks. That's where you drop your primary ads. Now I'm breaking like the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th walls, a little behind the scenes action. But no, honestly, support our sponsors because they support the show and they keep us the podcast moving. We also want to send Jordan some Ghost Sour Patch energy drinks, and so we need Sour Patch money, folks. Right? We got to spackle the bricks together here.
That Sour Patch money.
Get that Sour Patch money.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's the best.
Yeah.
They're like, John, all your recent ad reads, you keep talking about Sour Patches. Why do you do that? Like, if I just add that to every ad from now on, oh, that'd be awesome. Maybe I'll do that. Let's see how far we can really push this thing before it lights on fire. David, what do you think?
Maybe you should just have like a big bag of Sour Patch Kids that you're eating with the logo facing you, so it's never seen on camera. You just see the barcode.
Although, guys, our YouTube is getting really popular. I talked to somebody today about giving us Coors beer.
Ooh.
And they're like, how would you feel about having the... I was like, they're like, how would you feel about having the samples or whatever? I was like, wait a minute. I was like, are you literally saying I'd be sitting here with a Coors beer at my table while recording a podcast? They're like, yeah, that's what we're talking about. I'm like, duh. Like, let's, what do you say? What do you say? Let's go? Is that how you say? Like,
let's go.
Let's do it.
I told them like we were so close to getting the McDonald's campaign. If we had that, everybody would know who we are. We'd be like so famous now. They're like, Johnny's on there talking about a freaking chicken sandwich. You know what I mean? Like from McDonald's. Anyway, that's enough of that. I mean, that was really fun.
We could have gotten to one of those things where you could have like the Binge-Watchers meal. I don't know what that'd be yet.
The McBinge.
Huh?
Yeah, the McBinge. Yeah, I want that because they do the celebrity meals like the BT5, whatever, Korean band or whatever it was. BTS. Yeah,
BTS.
Each celebrity got like their own meal. Yeah, that's exactly. We'd have like a combo or a binge watch breakfast or something. McDonald's, if you're out there.
Mine would basically just be double cheeseburgers, but in, the hot mustard from the ketchup or from the chicken nugget packets instead of regular mustard in mine.
That sounds delicious.
And a side of hot mustard for my fries, because I'm weird like that. What I'm really saying is I like McDonald's hot mustard, I guess.
Oh wow! All right.
Time for the bits.
Jordan said it's time for favorite bits from songs from the second floor, not the third floor, not the basement, just the second floor.
Just the second one.
Favorite bits. Back to you, Jordan. You're already in the center stage. It doesn't matter. You're already there. You're ready to go.
Yeah, no, definitely a satire. I loved that, like, some of the stuff was so obvious, right? So there's a main character and his son. His son is it Stefan is his name? And he's like telling his sick brother this poem. And obviously, like, the, lines of the poem are echoed throughout the entire movie. And some of my favorite obvious ones is like they're talking about, beloved is the man.
Wait, can I interrupt you real quick to add a detail?
Ahead. Go ahead.
So they said this brother lost his mind because he started writing poetry. Yeah, I wrote that as one of my bits. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and then like it's just like all the things are like kind of obvious, right? Throughout the movie. My favorite one was just it's like beloved is the man who gets his finger closed in a door. And then there's like this scene of where his like fingers stuck in the train, and I don't know. It's just like all very ridiculous. But yeah, no, it was very interesting. I had no idea what was going on for quite some time and wish I would have read the synopsis before, but it was interesting and audibly and visually very catchy sometimes. Like,
well, you know what?
Singing.
About the synopsis, it reads like a Google Translate. You know what I mean? Like, like
yes, from the Swedish poster, and then they translate it to English.
So, I mean, if there's stuff lost in translation, like we don't even know how good the YouTube captions
version
are.
is.
You know what I mean? So,
totally.
But I downloaded I did not download the video. I shared a video that was already publicly posted by somebody else completely with my co-host here, and it didn't have subtitles. I was like, oh, we're not going to be able to watch this tonight. I better figure out what the subtitles are. But how do we know? We don't really know if the YouTube version is like accurately translated. So
we don't.
We might be missing some details.
I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. Super interesting. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I get. Well, chalk it up to the subtitles. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I try to go into movies I haven't heard of blind, and maybe this was one of
So
those
you're like
times.
you're delivering bad news in cute pajamas. It's not fair.
No, I this is one of those times where going in blind was kind of to my detriment because I wasn't prepared for what I was watching. I wasn't in the right frame of mind, I think. Because I can't call this a bad movie, but I will say it's a movie that did not connect with me. There's some beautiful imagery. I mean, there's a whole scene where they're, I don't know, in a business meeting or something, and there's a crucifix with Jesus that's fallen off of the cross and just swinging back and forth like a pendulum for like a 5-minute scene. I mean,
we'll find out later. This guy, his whole business was around selling those to other businesses, and he's throwing them away at the end.
It took like the third or fourth time for it to connect, but like there's multiple scenes where something tragic is happening. Like you mentioned, the guy getting his hand caught in a rail car, or somebody.
How about the guy being marched to the getting hung? Like he's interacting.
There's that too. There's a scene with somebody getting hung. There's a scene where
the girl gets pushed off.
Midsommar Light, where somebody gets thrown onto rocks, and there's always a crowd around.
There's always missed details. Like there's stuff going on in the background.
Yeah,
like extra story.
I think, I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this. It made me, I'll be honest, it made me feel dumb in parts because I'm like, it wasn't I don't know if there's, like John said, maybe we had a bad subtitles on YouTube. Maybe.
You know what though? If I was a film teacher,
David,
if I was a film teacher, I would assign this movie. I'd make an entire class of 35 people watch it. Even though I have a problem with schools assigning books, I guess maybe I'm a bastard because I'd be like, you're going to watch this movie.
Well, no, I get that because there's a lot to say where like you bring your own personal experience. Like I'd be interested. I don't know if I'd make a whole class watch this entire movie, but I would pick a few scenes and then ask for what their interpretation is. Because I'd be interested, like the scene I mentioned, the crucifix and Jesus swinging, like that could mean something different to like 5 different people. There's stuff like that where it's definitely open for debate.
There was a great bit where the priest was more concerned about the stock exchange than he was about the parishioner who came in who was having a real crisis of faith. Like he was talking about, stock market.
Yeah, he tells him to suck it up. He's like, I've been trying to sell my house for 4 years. Yeah.
I mean, I wrote this down like I got favorite bits. I got enough favorite bits to support the movie. There's a golf club scene. So it's very subtle. One of the leaders of this company, because we keep going in and out of like this one corporate company and a small business, but it seems like they're all related. So it's like it cuts to one of the characters that we got introduced in the beginning of the movie who works at the office, who fired another character that we get familiar with. He's like in a room with his boyfriend or something, but then he's sitting there because his golf club is broken. And the other one says, don't worry, we'll get a new golf club. And then so your imagination goes, oh, they were doing something with the golf club unsavory and it broke, but the one guy still had a good time and the other guy's like, well, what's the future going to be like? And I was like, oh, that's good. And then actually there's a scene later where they're not the main characters in that story, but they're there and they've already purchased a new golf club. Spoiler alert. They figured it, they got another one. And there's a twist with the guy. There's a guy walking around and he looks like he just came out. He's got like soot on him and like his business burned down or whatever, his little secondhand store or whatever, because he implies it's like a bookstore because he goes to meet his son at a bar, and it's all connected, folks. So the dad has a small business, it's burnt down. He meets the youngest son, who's a drunk taxi driver, and they're supposed to work together to go visit the son that's locked away in the asylum to support him or whatever. And at one point, like, the orderlies want to walk away with the dad because he's having an emotional outburst and they want to lock him up, which is another great detail happening in the background. But the twist, should I give away the twist or should I leave it alone? Like, how we find out who burned down the business. Maybe I would say
leave it alone just because this isn't exactly something everybody's seen.
Did you guys see the scene with the business people in the background lashing themselves with their ties and, like, they had, like, rocks tied to their business ties and they were hitting each other and, like, doing that, I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
Well, there's like a revolution going on behind the scenes that that's talked about a little bit, a couple of times. It's wild. Yeah, there's just so many like little minor stories, things happening in the background that.
If there's a consistent theme with that, it's like they're trying to break out of the drudgery of like clocking in and out, right? Like they're all caught up in their little loops.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they're all fighting against that, but then they ultimately just go back into their loops. Like, and every single relationship, with the exception of the guys with the golf club, every other relationship in the movie is having problems. The dad can't connect to the two sons. The youngest son is a taxi driver, can't connect to his fiance or girlfriend. The guy who loses his job at the corporate office in the beginning of the movie, his wife wants his attention and he's unwilling to give her any attention. And he's been there. He thinks he has to devote his time to the company, but then ultimately they lay him off. So it's ironic, right?
That was like my favorite first bit because he's like hanging on to the leg of his, like coworker, and you can see all the doors open in the hall and they're like watching him have this complete mental breakdown of like being fired of 30 years. And like all the doors are cracked, like they're trying to peep, but they like don't want to get involved of them being fired. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, and then I wonder about stereotypes. Like the stereotype is that Europe is very comfortable with their nudity. Like, everybody in this movie seems to be very comfortable whether they have clothes on or not. You know what I mean? Like, the wife's there at breakfast. She's got, like, a wide open robe. And she's also middle-aged. And this goes back to, like, do you remember this conversation we had, like, aesthetically, like, a few months ago where I was like, I want to see more average, regular people in private moments. And I'm like, this movie kind of celebrates that. But it's not, like, a theme. But the characters are doing it. You know what I mean? Like, they are just comfortable in their skin. And I'm like, that's, like, impossible. Impossible.
Well, I think that movie was Swedish too, wasn't it? So maybe it's just the Swedish folks.
The Swedes? Like, it's just what they're into? I don't know. That's what gets the movies made.
Matter. We're all comfortable.
So you guys going to rate it badly then? Is that true?
No, not necessarily. I mean, what do you think, Jordan?
Binge later for me. It was definitely not a binge never, but it wouldn't be something. It's going to be something I think about over the next week, and I'm going to be like, and kind of gotta mull it over, but binge later for sure.
Yeah, it's a binge later for me. Again, I wouldn't call this. I just wasn't prepared for this. I was not in the right frame of mind. Especially after last week, we watched such a fun, goofy movie, and this is a weird month, and this is definitely weird, but it's also existential and like requires like close attention, not casual attention, close attention. And so I would be willing to give this another go in the future with that in mind, but just know what you're getting into, folks. So it's binge later for me.
John?
Well, again, like I said, if I ran a film class, I'd make the students watch it, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily enjoyable. It's like putting to task. I would actually recommend that people don't have to watch it. Like, I'm actually going to say binge never. It's funny. It's funny you say assign it to a class, because this is the first time in a while where we watched a movie where it kind of felt like homework. Like, all right, I'm taking my medicine. It takes a little bit of sweat and patience. Like, you have to, I was fighting the urge to fast forward while trying to read the subtitles. So,
YouTube allows you to make it faster.
It's out there. Like, I'm glad it exists. I wish it was more widely available so people could make a decision whether they want to watch it. And it has good merits, but its merits don't stack up enough for me to support it or champion it. You know what I mean? And I really did. Maybe my expectations were too high because I really wanted it to be special, and it kind of just fell flat, with the exception of the things that I enjoyed. Sometimes Jordan will throw an extra segment in here called the shame screening, like classic movies that Jordan should have watched in her life as an American moviegoer. But she's actually has a very active social life, and like she's still trying to kill it in the real world, and not just live vicariously through movies. She's like, oh, whatever.
If I couldn't make time for Lady Terminator this week, there's no way I would have watched a shame screening before that. So, but it looks like you've got some to add to the list, John, which was, what did we talk about earlier?
Oh, yeah. Earlier in the show, I mentioned that they're shooting a new Beverly Hills Cop. And so I always thought that, like, you should watch Beverly Hills Cop 2 is my favorite of the series, but you have to watch at least the first couple ones. I mean, there's a Pointer Sisters playing in the background of the first one. There's some running gags from the first and second one that work out really well. The supporting cast is great. It's peak Eddie Murphy. It's like they shot this when he was doing his comedy specials and he was like number one. And so, yeah, I mean, I expect 4 to be like a kind of a flop. I mean, his last thing that he just did a sequel to Coming to America, and the Coming to America sequel wasn't that great. So, you know, but I love Beverly Hills Cop, man. I love Axel Foley. Like, yeah. I mean, Jordan, you definitely got what's at the top of your list right now? What's already on there?
Oh my God, it's just
Who
so
knows?
many. Yeah, late, like, you know, and I tell people about this bit, and they're like, "Oh my God, have you seen this? Oh my God, have you seen that?" So it's like, it just, you know, like The Gladiator, never seen that. Like, there's just so many that I gotta just watch. So.
Man, I know you got to get through Rambo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead 1, 2, and the remake.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. We've talked about it over the course of the episodes. The other Judge Dredd movie.
That would be a good one.
Yeah. Any of the Tom Hanks movies that he was good in? You ever see Bachelor Party?
Mm-mm.
Okay, there you go. Another one for the list.
Boom.
What are we doing?
I don't think
what
it's
are we doing
streaming anywhere.
Fan service. I mean, you guys have been great. I mean, thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting on YouTube and giving us some 5 stars recently. Keep them coming. We can give away. We only have, I think, one more Top Gun 2 to give away. We've given away all the other Top Gun 2 copies that we have.
What?
That's impressive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got to review to get something, so go do that.
I mean, it's much better when you sing it, but whatever.
What do we like to do? Review.
Not to put you on the spot or anything after having put you on the spot for the shame screening.
You know, I'm not going to spoil where I got that from for you guys, so.
Oh yeah, I don't know actually. Holy crap. It's actually from a movie?
Nope, not from a movie, but I won't spoil it for you anyways.
Holy crap, Dave. You pulled a fast one. Like, are we losing Binge-Watchers points over it? Like, is it something we should know?
Maybe. No.
Holy
no,
crap.
not that you should know. Not that you should know. So, anyways.
Yeah, if it's from like Bachelor season 15 or like from what's that English show that you watch that everybody's watching? It starts with a B.
Below Deck.
Bridgerton?
Oh,
Beavertown?
Bridgerton.
What is it called?
Did you just say Beavertown?
Maybe not. I have to go to playback on it, Dave. Have to rewind the episode. Staff picks. If you watched anything else besides the movie of the week, and you want the audience, clearly we're gonna want the audience to watch anything but the movie that we reviewed. So let's. It's still your turn, Jordan.
Okay. Yeah, I did watch some stuff. Just a few things. I watched The Patient, which is the new like Hulu Steve Carell show. And it's about, he's a psychotherapist and he's kidnapped by a serial killer to like cure his urges. There's only 3 episodes so far into the season, so super easy to get through and get caught up. But the guy who plays the serial killer is pretty good so far. So, and I like
Domhnall Gleeson, very good actor.
There we go. And then Steve Carell just being a bit more of a serious role is like definitely something to see. And then I also watched kind of an old one that came out a couple years ago. We were talking about Adam Sandler earlier today about Adam Sandler playing Adam Sandler, but I watched Hubie Halloween again. First time, probably had too much pumpkin beer before watching it and didn't like really recall the full movie, but watched it over the weekend and I truly laughed from like start to finish.
Holy crap. Last year we tore that movie a new asshole.
Oh my god.
Also I want to jump in and say like I think Steve Carell is trying too hard at his dramatic stuff. I texted that to Dave about this show.
I'm with Jordan. This is a good show. Like 2 out of 3 on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose. Whatever. Okay,
no, it's a good show, John. Seriously.
Is that also your recommendation then?
No, because she already said it.
What about you, Dave? Yeah, what are your recommendations?
I recommend, like, I think it was the #1 movie this weekend. I went and saw the new movie Barbarian. And just like every other review that got me to go see it, I'm not going to give away a lot because it is best going in cold. Just know you go in thinking it's one movie and it becomes another by the end. Very simple premise. Two lady shows up in the middle of the night to her Airbnb that she had booked, and another guy is there, and you're kind of suspicious what's going on. He convinces her to stay the night because all the hotels are booked up in the area. And then it just keeps going in different directions every 20 minutes or so. I won't give anything more away than that, but it is getting a lot of hype. And I was, for the first time in a long time, a movie's hype was actually worth it or lived up to it. So if you don't mind actually going out to a theater, see Barbarian, or wait 2 months when it's on Hulu.
Go watch in the theaters while there's still theaters.
Yeah. Since, what is it, Regal or one of those is going down?
Yeah, one of the big ones is gone.
Oh, wow.
Not that I care. I'm a proponent for it. Just give me the movie now any way I can get it. You know.
Look into my veins.
And some of us kids, Dave, can't afford to go to the theaters. We got to go to the video stores. All right, brother? All right?
Well, they don't exist anymore.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So we got to download it from someone that has the right to display it. No, just kidding. Everything on YouTube is legal. What are you talking about?
Although I will say I did go see a movie recently, and it wasn't worth talking about, but for like a ticket, a small popcorn, and a large drink was still $20 when I could have waited like a week or two.
Wait, did you go on the Labor Day thing where the theaters were like $3 movie tickets? They did like
no, this was a full price ticket. This wasn't during that special day.
I won't tell you about the last time I went and saw a movie in the theaters, so we'll save that for a different.
Was it Casper?
Topic. No.
Oh.
What did you watch, John?
I just was recalling that's a ancient recall because when we first started podcasting with Jordan, she like mentioned Casper and we talked about it, and so I just thought I would bring it up again.
Still good.
Yeah. I watched this thing called The Donut King. It's a documentary about a Cambodian immigrant that started like a major chain of independent donut shops in Southern California. So there's 5,000 independent donut shops in Southern California, and 80% are owned by Cambodian families. And this is why this guy who they call Uncle Ted, he immigrated during like the Cambodian genocide when like there was like a communist party taking over the country. They're like trying to all escape. They get to California, sponsored by like churches and like refugee organizations, and the army took some of them. So he was in the army camp, and then a church let his family stay in the church. He worked as a janitor. Then at nights he was working at a gas station, but then saw everybody eating all these donuts and going like, wow, they're coming in for a breakfast food in the middle of the night. Americans love this. What's going on? So he goes to like Winchell's training school and learns how to make donuts. And then he works for them. Then he gets enough money. He opens like a donut shop like across the street. And then he helps like his brother-in-law, his cousin, his aunt. They open their shops. And so like the family is still owning donut shops like, 30 years later or whatever. Wow. So it's like an entrepreneur, like American story, like just like crushing it in the world of donuts. It's on Hulu.
But doesn't like he have like a tragic end where like he?
Yeah, I was gonna leave that out. I was gonna try to keep it positive, but yeah,
but it's worth watching because it goes into different.
Want the spoilers.
La, 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 la.
My bad.
Yeah. Anyway,
it is a good documentary. I saw it a year or two ago.
I recommend it. It was in my queue forever, and I just like ran out of things to watch, and I was like, I'm finally gonna crack this open. Anyway, it's worth watching. Anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, I still see donut shops around in the area called Donut King, so it's still like around.
I've worked for an independent donut shop, so it's right up my alley.
Donuts.
Oh, so man, I can go for a donut right now.
Oh man, we'll just leave the audience thinking about donuts. All right. One donut flavor to rule them all, Jordan. What is it?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to pull some fancy stuff onto you right now. I have had a cake donut with drizzled honey, a aged cheddar with a rosemary sprig on it, and it is divine. So good.
That sounds like the Whole Foods of donuts.
It kind of is. I mean, they're cheap.
Very simple.
Yeah, it's delicious. So good. What about, I don't know, who's going to throw in their donut flavor?
Oh, man. I don't know. It's down to two. It's either a simple maple bar, you can't go wrong with that, or apple fritter if you're going to be really indulgent.
It's a solid one.
Technically they sell fritters at donut shops, but it's not technically a donut, Dave.
I know, but what are you going to do? They sell it at the donut shop.
I like a glazed. I'm simple. But also sometimes I get the plain, because you know what the best dunker is in a cup of coffee?
The plain?
The plain. Yeah, it holds up. You can dunk it at least 3 times before it falls apart.
I'm definitely a hoe for raspberry filled Krispy Kreme though.
Ooh.
Like,
Wow, there's the quote for the episode.
okay, whatever.
Although, as far as like the cheap ass little donuts, like the little ones, the little chrome ones, you can't go wrong with those either.
I don't know. Ooh, the
Yeah, our audience is not
donut.
going to sign up for stars. They're just going to go buy donuts. That's what's going to happen.
Actually, you're right.
Well, then we need to
love
get
it.
a affiliation with Intamins or Little Debbie.
A
or whatever.
donut shop? Dunkin' Donuts is huge on the East Coast, and I've been trying to get them to pay attention. I know their brand owner. He's like named like Justin something. I know. I don't know why he doesn't hook us up with some donut holes. Well, they're called Munchkins. Yeah, Munchkins. Anyway, I feel like this podcast is over, but we're still here. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I was
I wanna have
refraining
donuts.
from doing a donut pun, so I thought that's why you cut me off with the thing.
Oh, sorry. Did I ruin the joke?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Like,
damn.
Please stop me from doing a donut pun.
I don't know.
That's the title of the episode right there. Please stop me from doing a donut pun.
Oh man, that's too long. That's too long for YouTube keywords. Like, please stop me. And the only thing in there is the word donut. That's the only thing that's going to come up in YouTube search return is donut.
Yeah.
Anybody wanting to watch videos about donuts will see our episode.
Do not let this go any longer, you know?
Holy crap. That actually works. Okay. Good night, folks. Come back next week. We'll have another podcast for you. I promise. Endorsed by Jordan and Dave.